We see a lush region around evening time, and somebody is moving there, as we see a courting capital. The little homestead of an older couple in the city's edges first faces the creatures intruding. A young lady is dozing in her room in that house, as a major shadow, apparently of that creature, runs past in the external hallway. The old couple's young girl gets back late in the night with her beau and a bicycle, which is the point at which a banging commotion draws their consideration. The elderly person loathes the person his girl has picked and emerges from his bed to welcome him, however finds the bicycle stumbled down with motor actually running. He before long finds his girl and her sweetheart being killed by the creature and himself is killed as well, all finished off screen. The mother hears the cries, advises the young lady to conceal inside and emerges with a weapon, yet she is killed as well. The young lady closes herself in her room in intense apprehension. Next morning, at the Zoo of Amsterdam, veterinarian Lizzie Storm is working on a crocodile example when her sweetheart Dave, who fills in as a cameraman in the nearby news channel AT5, meets her under the guise of shooting some child hippos at the zoo. They discuss their relationship issues, Dave's cheating, their date this evening, and so on. Lizzie gets a call, apparently from the police at the ranch site for her skill with distinguishing animal characteristics. Lizzie arrives at the crime location, where the police in control Olaf Brinkers meets her, the two having met beforehand on events like taking care of pandas. The police have tracked down 4 cut-off bodies, with unmistakable destroying signs, however no impressions on account of for the time being precipitation. The young lady is absent. Before long, somewhere far off, from the bird trills, they track down another body. One glance at the bodies and Lizzie firmly thinks it to be a demonstration of apex predator lion, however it's difficult to accept for everybody, and Olaf attempts to justify in any case. Lizzie tells Dave, during their date in an eatery that night, about the lion, as a result giving him a news scoop. He doesn't really accept it, yet keeps it from his co-journalist Martin. They discuss their trust issues, as Dave attempts to persuade her that he is attempting to improve and appears to half succeed until she gets his new wrongdoings from certain individuals outside and she irately leaves in her vehicle. Next day, 3 golfers are playing in an open green field, one of whom named Hendrik mishits the ball and goes searching for it in the bush. The other 2 in the meantime have planned behind his back to oust him from their common business project and try to give him the papers to sign there itself. As they argue standing amongst a bush and Hendricks takes his eyes off into the papers for a moment, suddenly something comes out and takes away the second man, leaving bloods on Hendricks' spectacled face. But it happened so fast he hasn't seen what caused it, only that it was some animal. The 2 survivors search for the third and find blood trail over the green field, ending with his severed body. Olaf and given the brain science of a hunter in being brave towards one more creature subsequent to praying it once. So the police have no choice not to act, thinking the issue was a unique case. She recommends 1. It ought to be passed on to proficient trackers and proposes a man from England she knows, and 2. The general population should be cautioned with alleged data. The chief excuses the 2 ideas, reporting it straightforwardly would make public frenzy, so there will be finished media quiet and the actual police would look for it watchfully. Then Lizzie gets a SMS from Dave to turn on his channel AT5, apparently about a news piece he has made on the lion assault in view of her bits of feedbacks. She turns on the TV in the room, and their individuals are professing to have seen a lion. The chief, presently with no alternate way, calls a question and answer session to pronounce to public about the lion danger, encouraging individuals to remain inside except if important. The media doesn't seem to treat it in a serious way, reviewing a few phony problems beforehand. Uninvolved, Olaf illuminates Lizzie that the chief is recruiting some expert tracker, yet not the man from England she recommended. That night, a couple is strolling in a cycle track underpass and notification, what resembles a roadkiller meaty item in the low-lit side. They leave in disdain, however it's really a cut-off human hand, and sitting close by in the corner is the lion, a major male lion. That evening, Lizzie gets back to find Dave is sitting tight for her close by, and they stroll till her home, meanwhile Dave attempting to charm her, joking that they ought to partake in the last minutes when a lion is lurking in the shadows. Out of nowhere Lizzie is dubious, finding a major shadow coming from a path, yet it ends up being a man. A food conveyance fellow shoots past them perilously on his bicycle, so Dave yells at him. He stops the bicycle and starts to seethe, yet Dave winds up coolly getting some of what he was to convey: roti, meat, and wine. Dave and Lizzie go inside her home and go through the evening. The conveyance fellow faces a furious client when the last option sees as not as much as what he requested, also the free wine advertised. While noting his supervisor on telephone about the client's grumbling, the conveyance fellow finds in his bicycle's mirror a lion coming in from the other side. Promptly he escapes on his bicycle, with the lion in pursuit. The pursuit carries on at max throttle in the night paths of Amsterdam until his bicycle slips and he falls into a water channel. He subtly emerges from water, however the lion shows up before him inside squint of his eyes, bringing down their defenses and rips his head off. Next morning, while Lizzie and Dave talk about their connection, Lizzie illuminates him. She has called up Jack Delarue, the talented tracker from England, despite the fact that the chief is recruiting another person. Dave realizes Jack is her ex, and the pair hadn't separated coolly, so is somewhat concerned. He says Jack is awesome, yet just in hunting lions and trust he comes to chase just lions. In the meantime, a morning sweeper has tracked down lion crap and human heads on street. The police, presently frantic, have for sure recruited an expert tracker, called to work being both cousin and nephew. In English, the cousin tracker presents his arrangement before the city's specialists, takes note of this lion's assault and take photographs for notoriety. She illuminates her fear to Olaf, however the arrangement stays on. Police unfilled and lock the Vondel Park by 6 p.m. under the guise of support work, however they later uncover that it's for a lion chase, and the cousin tracker proceeds his arrangement there. He sets a snare of deer head, some traction traps with nails, remote-controlled speaker creating explicit lion thunders, and holds up in a tent close by with night vision camera and firearms prepared. A helicopter tracks from a higher place, while police and media including Olaf, Dave, and Martin stand wary external the recreation area door. However, Lizzie is somewhere else taking care of her veterinary responsibilities. After much pausing and mating calls played in the speaker, the lion's genuine thunder can be heard, however that is the point at which the tracker sees his child has come there, equipped to chase. He emerges to safeguard his child, who takes off hearing a thunder, and he rushes back to his tent, yet promptly feels a lion there at his back. The lion assaults him, draws out his guts while he, still alive, requests that his child shoot it. The child frenzies and succumbs to the traction trap. Informed by the helicopter, police race into the recreation area and track down the two men dead. Dave and Martin also had constrained their media vehicle into the recreation area following the squad car and are captured for entering a denied region. The following helicopter can discontinuously find the lion to be still inside that park, yet rapidly they lose it. Last seen it was moving toward the east towards against end of the recreation area, and the police group outside that end get ready to catch it. In any case, they don't. The lion has really entered the cable car that makes a stop at that park and he is showing up next morning. Consequently, she gets Dave let out of confinement, and the couple review the massacre in her home as well as the appearance of her ex tomorrow. Dave gets back to revealing, while Lizzie affectionately rides her collection with photographs of Jack from years back. Jack shows up next morning in a flight, yet Olaf is shocked to view him as a wheelchair-bound man, crippled with one leg. Jack's extraordinary seat is battery-controlled and has tank-like caterpillar track base, giving him fast mobility and reach across slants. He arrives where the tracker father-child were killed and noticed their missteps. Lure hung excessively low, tracker positioned downwind at that spot around then of last evening, traction traps off base, a tent befitting novice scouts, and utilizing the radio and chopper as giveaways. Lizzie grins intentionally, demonstrating that the man is careful and understands what he is doing, similarly as she expects and realizes that he will generally be. He analyzes the lion's impressions and droppings and gets it to be male 7 feet, weighing 400 pounds. He leaves to have a few light minutes with Lizzie. Later they watch the cable car film, and he is amazed the way that the lion could arrive at the cable car in somewhere around on the verge of being at the spot inside the recreation area. At the point when Olaf asks him, how would they find the lion, where it makes the following kill, other than to hang tight for it to really kill, Jack answers it would be the alternate way the lion would track down them. In any case, the trap can be any non-human. Lions are possessive executioners, so it would return to eat its kill, for example the cousin tracker's body, which in this way can be utilized as lure at a reasonable spot. The boss resents this affront to his dead cousin and flames jabbering that he has liver malignant growth and has 1 to 2 years left. Yet, he keeps on introducing a jaunty, easygoing and diverting face and offers giggles with individuals there about hunting ladies and lure. In the meantime, Dave and Martin detailing track down the roads nowhere near abandoned. Even certain individuals express grandiosity to kill the actual lion, as the police is defeatist. Martin prods Dave to be cautious about Jack in case he chases Lizzie. Daytime. A sitter someplace in the city is responsible for a kid and young lady to ensure they are inside the house. She checks their room, finds the window is open, and the two have snuck outside to play in the slide game at the jungle gym. The kid arrives at the base first, however there is the lion, who hauls him away, so the young lady descending behind him attempts to move back up, yet in the long run slides down. She is saved by the sitter, and they find blood trails disappearing. The insight about the kid's killing is displayed on TV as the most recent casualty of the lion, inciting Lizzie and Jack to return back from bar to the site of police activity. The police have encircled the lion in a forested region of the city, have brought in a SWAT-like armed force to look and kill the lion there, and the activity starts off at night. The chief illuminates Jack to completely finish his bills, set for return trip next morning. Presently practically out of the case, Jack meets Dave and they talk obligingly alongside Lizzie. Jack cautions that the proposed armed force activity could wind up in the men shooting one another. Dave is shocked Jack is handicapped in legs, a reality that ought to remember him of frailty from Jack. However, Lizzie brazenly answers that Jack has different organs which are working, like brain. Dave welcomes Lizzie and Dave for supper, where Jack portrays his experience of battling a lion and residing to tell the story, however which removed one of his legs. Dave shouts an incredible story, as Jack is sincerely charged toward the finish of the describing and kills the room's crystal fixture. In the meantime, the military men encompass the woods and close in from all bearings, yet the lion figures out how to keep its cover among the bramble. In the meantime, a few novice fans have laid out certain snares there, including a pit dug on ground, stumbling wire and bombs, themselves standing by neighboring to kill the lion. At the point when some military men fall in the snares and sense development of the outsiders, they wind up shooting around, killing a considerable lot of their colleagues, including those beginner residents. Presently the chief, with a conventional statement of far-reaching crisis looming over his head, sends Olive to review Jack from his very drowsy state in his lodging, holding on to fly back next morning. He reconnects in the gig, with the cousin tracker's body hung as trap in that park, however they note that it's one day too old, and the lion might have moved on to one more chase as its possessive kill. Dave gets a few selective photos of the scene, with an arrangement not to unveil them until task finished, and afterward he leaves alongside others subsequent to wishing Jack to return with another incredible story to tell. Jack checks the breeze course, positions himself likewise, alone, in the open without confine, without Chopper watching above, and soon he turns off his radio gadget for complete quiet on his part. Occasionally he continues to shear hints of wild creatures like bison to draw the lion in, and pauses. Out of nowhere he detects development, yet it left inside. Jack whistles the canine away, yet unexpectedly the lion is behind him. He shoots it while moving himself away in his vehicle seat, and before long is pursuing behind next to the lion and shoots it a few times. Yet, he loses it and changes on his radio to illuminate the group holding up external the recreation area entryways. They illuminate him that the snare body is gone, and Jack is shocked by how quick a lion might actually move between the traps. Turned since Jack sounded amazed, inferring gambles unaccounted for by him, so she chooses to help him and heads inside. At long last, Jack, limping along the lion tracks, arrives at close to the clinical unit of Amsterdam University and meets Lizzie there. He gives her a weapon and the two enter the university building, having found a few dead bodies and an opening in the wall demonstrating the lion's powerful passage inside. They subtly search for it inside the entryway and Lizzie takes out her telephone to attempt message the police group. Out of nowhere the lion leaps out of the side walls and figures out how to ridiculous Jack's shoulders. Lizzie shoots it and afterward conceals under a couch when gone after herself. Jack shoots it, redirecting it towards himself, onto the assembly hall and holds up external the leave entryway, firearm it prepared to impact, however it doesn't show up there. In the meantime Lizzie, with her cell phone squashed in the past assault, was attempting to illuminate her area to the police group utilizing a dead safety officer's radio gadget when she finds the lion return quietly and needs to stow away. That is the point at which her radio gets summons giving her situation, and she faces the lion's assault. Opposite side, searching for the lion, Jack arrives at a passageway and finds the lion toward its finish, who runs at him, in spite of taking projectiles. He wheels back, yet his whole leg is ripped at by the lion, and he tumbles down from a high, losing the two his seat and weapon. He hauls himself to the close-by mortuary, ties his seriously draining leg with apparel, and gets the entryway handles with his belt, guessing that the lion would come there, following his blood on the floor as far as possible. In the meantime, Lizzie got away from her room and falls crashing close to Jack, presently taking cover behind a table attempting to nurture his wounds. They share some second, prominently Jack wishing to see her bare one final time, which she begins to oblige, however, for Jack to say he was joking. At long last, Jack makes sense as lure to kill the lion, utilizing gives way. With the entryway hammering and brief period left, the lion before long tears open the entryway, trails the blood on the floor, missing the seriously harmed Jack behind the side table, and enters that chamber to track down its ideal leg. Lizzie discreetly locks its entryway, showers the harmful gas on the lion's face, and it passes out soon, yet not prior to tearing her cover somewhat. Lizzie is currently herself taking in the gas and neglects to open the entryway. In the meantime, Dave and Lizzie grieve the dead Jack before the lion's body is conveyed in a vehicle for the help of the frightened city, and the chief takes some prize photographs. Jack stays back for certain shoots, while Lizzie goes with Jack's body in the rescue vehicle. On the way, they stop at a rail line track crossing and Lizzie telephones Dave, welcoming him for the evening. However, inquisitively it unfurls during their discussion that there is one more opening in the college wall, with lion tracks disappearing from the structures their vehicle, appearing to be still after Jack's body driver had taken off in frenzy, and raises a ruckus around town with her vehicle, attracting the lion to now go after her front glass. She keeps at it for barely enough time for the train to show up and drives the rescue vehicle into the train's way. In this way, the blast and fire clearly kill the lion in that. Lizzie tumbles to her feet, depleted genuinely and inwardly, as she sees the memento made of lion tooth that Jack used to wear. Truly has Lizzie recorded in it. Now opening the entryway, consequently saving her life, and says she confides in him a little at this point. Dave invites the start, yet creepily inquires as to why her canine's name is Simba, the popular lion, and whether there were just two lions. In the hedge close by, a few leaves stir, trailed by a weak thunder.